You are listening to Julia's Trucking Cafe News Hour. Welcome to Julia's Trucking Cafe Trucking News Hour. Thank you so much for joining me. I'm so happy that you're here and that you want to listen to the trucking news. As always, I have lots of news to get to, so let's get right to it. In this story, the Utah Highway Patrol has confirmed that multiple fatalities occurred during an evening pileup crash in Millard County. This happened back in July. The pileup occurred shortly before 5 p.m. on I-15 near mile marker 152 between the Meadow and Canash exit. They say this was a chilling scene on I-15 south of Fillmore after a sandstorm caused a 20-car pileup that killed at least 6 people and critically injured several others. According to UHP, high winds caused a dust storm or sandstorm which led to reduced visibility on the roadway and triggered the 22-vehicle pileup crash. Authorities say that 7 people, including some children, perished in the pileup. 5 of the 7 people killed were traveling together in one vehicle. The other 2 were traveling together in a separate vehicle. At least 10 other people suffered injuries and were transported to the hospital. 3 people were listed in critical condition. UHP's Colonel Rapich said, quote, "This was a tragic and horrible crash. While we mourn those who lost their lives in this incident, I'm amazed with the response of our troopers, Sheriff's Office, EMS, fire, and the incredible volunteers from communities across Millard County." Utah Governor Spencer Cox tweeted, "We're stunned and saddened by the horrific accidents in Millard County. We fervently pray for the loved ones of those who perished and for those fighting for their lives." And in this next story, neighbors are surprised to find 2 chocolate labs manning a rig that crashed through a house. Neighbors were surprised to find 2 chocolate labs inside the cab of a semi-truck that plowed through the side of a home in Massachusetts. The accident happened July 24th at around 6:10 p.m. in Braintree, Mass. According to the local paper, Glenn Fillmore and his family were just sitting down to dinner when they heard a hell of a noise coming from next door. They came running out and saw the truck slammed into the side of the house. Fillmore said, describing the torn siding, shattered window, and tire tracks on the side of a nearby hill. He and another neighbor ran up to the cab to check on the trucker, but to their surprise, all they found were 2 chocolate labs looking no worse for wear. Quote, "We opened up the cab and there were 2 chocolate labs looking at us. We just shut the door and we jumped down," Fillmore said. "You could only surmise that the 2 dogs were in the front. Maybe something got released and they went for a ride. That's probably the best thing you can come up with," end quote. Police were called and were able to contact the homeowners through their home security doorbell camera system. They must have their Ring doorbell going. They went on there and they talked, and police said, "You better get home because someone just wiped out the side of your house." The trucking company named on the side of the rig has not responded to requests for comment from this news outlet that I use, and it is not yet clear if the driver has been located. But the dogs are okay, to let everyone know that the dogs were fine. They just decided they wanted to see what daddy or mommy did for a living, so they were going to go take a test drive. Excuse me. And trucks are a total loss after that major fire at that Tennessean truck stop. Firefighters responded to that early morning vehicle fire. If you didn't know, the Tennessean truck stop burned on Mount Eagle. According to their fire and rescue, multiple agencies including Pelham Fire Rescue, Tracy City Fire Rescue, Suwannee Fire Department, Marion County Emergency Management, and the hazmat response responded to a vehicle fire at a Pilot Travel Center location. 2 semi-trucks were involved in the fire and are considered a total loss. Firefighters said that the fire had been put out and crews are currently working on containment. There's no word on injuries or what caused the fire. But yeah, that was at the Tennessean. I reported on that it was a restaurant fire, but then it went across, I believe it went across to the fuel station. And have you ever wondered, if you're watching this on video, what it would look like if a truck got struck by lightning? Well, there's a picture of what happened. A truck driver sent this picture into this news outlet that I use to share some surprising photos of a natural phenomenon. This photo shows a damage of a lightning strike that could do to the cab of a truck, an extent of the damage that might just surprise you. In case you're curious what a lightning strike does to a vehicle, just for your information, that was the person that sent this in. That did not happen to his truck. The first photo shows a seriously cracked windshield, but that isn't the worst of it. Inside the cab is totally charred from a smoked out window to a melted dashboard, as you could see. If that happened to me, well, if that happened to my vehicle, let me start again. If that happened to my vehicle, I would start going to church more often and praying a lot. One commenter said, "I didn't even know lightning would strike a vehicle," said another user. "I always heard the rubber tires insulated it from happening." Wow, what a mythbuster. It's not clear whether the driver of the truck was injured or not. Whoever they are, we wish them the best. And up next, a trucking boss fires back at a motorist who complained about a semi-truck taking up too many spaces in an empty parking lot. A trucking company owner has the support of the general public after firing back at a disgruntled patron, apparently enraged by a trucker taking up too many spaces in a nearby empty parking lot. Peter White of White's Transport Services in Coventry, England, says he received an aggressive message on Facebook earlier in the month of July from a man named Chris. Angry message explains that the truck driver took up multiple parking spaces with his rig as he went inside the grocery store to shop for about 15 minutes. Ooh, whole 15 minutes. He was parked there for 15 minutes, then came out with the trolley cart full of shopping, so it isn't as if he just stopped for the toilet, the message reads. Surely these things should be done in a car on the driver's own time. I hope you deal with this swiftly and avoid it happening again, Chris concludes. How dare he eat, White joked in a Facebook post defending his driver. White also pointed out that the driver was just starting his 2-week stint over the road and needed to stock up on food. In the picture, there's only 2 cars parked, so it's pretty much empty. The driver could have parked right outside the doors, but he parked far enough away just to keep his truck away from the building. I've had messages to say the car park is enormous. The parking lot, in other words, in England, they say things a little bit differently than here in the States, but the parking lot is enormous and it's never ever full, even on the busiest of days. Chris is just a busybody that likes to complain and create a problem when there isn't a problem. Way to stand up for your driver, boss man. Now, if only the grumpy motorist could get the message. I totally concur. In this next story, a man is accused of ramming semis with his car while drivers slept. This happened at a Florida rest area. A man is facing multiple assault charges after allegedly ramming his vehicle into parked semi-trucks at a rest area. Incident happened July 23rd at a rest area off of I-75 in Collier County, Florida. Truckers on the scene later reported that they were asleep in their vehicles when they were awakened by a car driver pulling into the rest area, honking his horn. The driver then began ramming his vehicle into the parked trucks. He was also seen speeding away and driving the wrong way in the rest area. When troopers arrived, they reportedly found marijuana and pills in his vehicle. He was later identified as a Hollywood, Florida resident, Albert Thompson, 47, and he was arrested and booked into the Collier County Jail. Thompson was issued 4 charges of aggravated assault with a deadly weapon without intent to kill. According to Collier County Jail records, Thompson bonded out the next day. So he had enough money to bond out. And this guy, if you're watching the video, beat another to death in a truck stop lounge, is indicted for first-degree murder. This man been indicted on first-degree murder charges after beating another man to death in a truck stop lounge earlier this year. Marcello D. Williams allegedly beat 47-year-old Tashim Porter to death with a mini sledgehammer at a Flying J in Salem County, New Jersey in May of this year. Williams claims he acted in self-defense and that he had met Porter in the past, and now Porter was following him and giving me that look that everyone else in the store was giving me. Because Williams believed that Porter kept giving him looks. Williams attacked Porter with a mini sledgehammer from the truck stop store while Porter was sitting in the lounge massage chair with his shoes off. Porter then tried to get up, but Williams hit him again, this time attacking him with as many as 6 strikes. With Porter incapacitated, Williams left the lounge and requested that a store clerk call 911. When police arrived, Williams was sitting in the lounge with a now bloody hammer on the table and a bleeding victim on the floor with a serious wound to the back of the head. Police say that Williams appeared to be under the influence of some drug when they arrived, but that he did not resist arrest. Now Williams is being held in Salem County Correctional Facility. Quote, "It appears that Mr. Williams perceived that his life was in danger, and it's not entirely clear to me why," said the Judge Linda Lawhon. "I have not heard any information that anyone at this truck stop witnessed either a verbal or physical altercation between Williams and the victim." And the last week of July, Williams was indicted on first-degree murder charges and fourth-degree unlawful possession of a weapon. He's expected to return to court on August for a post-indictment arraignment. And truck traffic is banned from a busy Nebraska bridge for about a month. So this is already done. There again, I've had all these slides prepared. I've just been running my tail off. Just a quick little break. I've been running my tail off so hard that doing 2 and 3 and 4 rounds a week was going from Tennessee out to Nevada, and Nevada to Washington, Washington back over to Kansas, Kansas back out to Tennessee, around and around and around. Now I'm going out to from Kansas all the way out to Pennsylvania, and then back to Missouri and then Kansas. So I apologize again for this being late. But for many of you who haven't heard this news, so at least I'm getting you caught up on some of the current affairs that's happening in the trucking industry. Thank you for your patience. Let's get back to the news. The Nebraska Department of Transportation is restricting all commercial vehicles and truck traffic from using an Iowa-Nebraska bridge due to construction. This happened end of July, and this should been over with the end of August. It announced that commercial and heavy trucks and loads will not be permitted to use the Missouri River Bridge on Highway 2 at Nebraska City. So if you were going up like 29 and then you cut over on 2 to get to cut off some miles to get up to 80, that was that way right there. And they were restricting travel on Route 2. And on our next story, a woman who stole an oil tanker truck involved in several vehicle pursuits and several motor vehicle accidents. Police in Wildwood, New Jersey, I always thought there was Wildwood, Florida, but I guess there's a Wildwood, New Jersey too, say that a woman has been arrested and charged in connection with the theft of an oil tanker truck. 44-year-old New Jersey resident Camille Westcott had been arrested and charged with 1 count of receiving stolen property. This is a second degree, and 1 count of obstruction of justice, a crime of the 4th degree, and 1 count of resisting arrest. The charges stem from an incident that occurred back on July 24th. Police say that around 12:30, Westcott stole a Taylor oil tanker truck from a location in New Jersey. Throughout the day, Miss Westcott was involved in several vehicle pursuits with several different law enforcement agencies, and Mrs. Westcott was also involved in several motor vehicle accidents in different jurisdictions. Around 8:30 in the evening, Wildwood Police Department received word of an erratic driver behind the wheel of a Taylor oil tanker truck. Police learned that the tanker was parked near their gas pumps at a Wawa Market parking lot. They also learned that the tanker truck had been reported stolen out of Belmont and conducted a high-risk stop. During the time of the pursuit, defendant refused to comply with officers' commands and refused to exit the vehicle. And on several instances, the defendant pressed on the brake pedal and checked her mirrors as she were attempting to pull the vehicle out, but was unable to get the tanker truck restarted. She then had the driver and passenger side doors locked and still refused to exit the vehicle. Due to public safety concerns and fear that the oil tanker truck would travel back onto a highly congested public roadway, a forced entry was made into the vehicle, and the defendant was removed from the vehicle and taken into custody without further incident. And up next, more than a ton of marijuana is seized from a semi-truck at a Detroit port of entry this time, not Laredo or Texas. U.S. Customs and Border Protection officers in Detroit recently seized more than 2,500 pounds of marijuana hidden in a commercial truck's shipment. The drug seizure took place on Wednesday, July 21st at the 4th Street cargo facility in Detroit. The Border Patrol says that an inbound truck was hauling a load manifested as aluminum caps and was referred for a secondary inspection. On X-ray scan, which yields results inconsistent with purported goods, they performed a physical search of the trailer and discovered 2,583 pounds of marijuana hidden among several pallets. They have seized the marijuana, of course, the truck and the trailer. They reported uptick in contraband coming through all ports of entry in Michigan since COVID pandemic began. Field operations continue to facilitate lawful trade and travel. Drug interdiction remains an enforcement priority. The men and women of the Border Patrol continue to work to keep dangerous and unregulated substances from hitting the streets of the U.S. Good job, guys. Good job, guys. And now let's take a short. This episode of Julia's Trucker Cafe is brought to you by My Patriot Supply. As truck drivers, we all know what it's like to be at a shipper's or receiver's and have to wait to be loaded for hours on end. Am I right? Especially produce coolers and paper mills. That's why you need to be prepared with extra food in your truck, especially with the bad weather coming in, like it is over here in Kansas. Up in the Dakotas and Minnesota, 90 was shut down, Interstate 94 was shut down, along with 29. What are you going to do if there's no food and a truck stop was without power? That's why you need to stay prepared with My Patriot Supply. Now, it's not what you're thinking. My Patriot Supply is delicious emergency food. They have food kits that are good up to 25 years. They come in a slimline tote that you can easily store in your food pantry or under your bunk. I can speak from experience. After living through Hurricane Katrina, we were without power for 10 days, me, my mother, and son, and I. If it weren't for the MREs that were flown into us, we wouldn't have any food. There was 4 60-foot pine trees that broke in half during that storm and crossed my driveway and landlocked me in. That's when My Patriot Supply would have come in handy. If I knew then what I know now about My Patriot Supply, I definitely have some of this food stockpiled in my pantry. Now, for a limited time, you could get a 1-week supply of food in a handy and neat-looking ammo can, like you see here, for just $39. Look at all that food you get. It's a week's worth of breakfast, lunch, and dinners, just for $39. How do you get it? Where do you go, do you ask? Well, I'll tell you. Just go to my website at juliastruckercafe.com, click on the Emergency Food Supply tab, scroll down and click on any of the images to find out more information and get yours today. They even offer gluten-free food for under $100. Winter weather is here. What would you do if the interstate was shut down, just like I was talking about? You need to get My Patriot Supply and get it today. Welcome back. Thank you so much for coming back and returning and joining me. Now, in this story, a widower and a CSI team search for a diamond torn from the finger of his wife, lost in a bicycle wreck with a semi. Title is kind of confusing. Members of a crime scene investigation team lent a hand to the widower of a woman killed in a wreck with a semi-truck earlier in the month by helping him search for her diamond. The accident happened back on July 8th in Utah. According to the local news, Jana Wangsgaard was riding her bicycle near State Route 126 and 400 North when she approached an intersection. Wangsgaard then drove up along the right side of a tractor-trailer, stopped at the intersection, and when the rig began to make a right turn, she was struck. The force of the impact killed her instantly and even knocked the diamond from her wedding ring. Several weeks after the tragic incident, Jana's husband decided to go on a search for the now priceless diamond ripped from her finger. Wangsgaard contacted members of the CSI team and they agreed to help lead the search. Wangsgaard and a team member of the Weber CSI agents scoured the area of the crash over the weekend, some even coming to help on their day off, but to no avail. The team even used a special blue light that reflects specifically brightly off of diamonds, but were unable to recover the jewel. The failure wasn't because they didn't give it their all, said the Weber County Sheriff's Office, who wrote that in a Facebook post. So, Mr. Wangsgaard, we are so sorry for your loss and extend our sincere condolences. This is a good lesson for my upcoming rookie roundtable, how you always need to look in your mirrors when you're making a right turn for bicyclists, motorcyclists, and this kind of thing that don't know any better. When they know that you need to swing wide, you always need to look out your right mirror to make sure that there's nobody right up next to you, and especially a bicyclist. You know, you're right at that height. You're right in our blind spot. So you really shouldn't be creeping up on next to a semi. Should always stay behind them and never creep up next to them because we can't see you. You can't, and if you take off your hood mirrors on the right side, that's just silly. You can either see her on the hood mirror or see her on your lower convex mirror, or even some trucks have a mirror over the passenger door that's looking down. You have to look at all those mirrors. So it's, I would say, the fault of both, the fault of the bicyclist for being there and the fault of the truck driver for not looking in his mirrors. But that's just my personal opinion from being out here for 33 years. So again, we offer our sincere condolences. In this next story, Memphis I-40 bridge is finally reopened after giving truck traffic months of headaches. Arkansas and Tennessee transportation officials say that the I-40 Hernando de Soto Bridge in Memphis is reopened to traffic. According to a joint announcement back in July, the I-40 Hernando de Soto Bridge over the Mississippi River is reopened and the work has been finished. Drivers are warned that the bridge remained at the time an active work zone. I've been across it. It is no longer an active work zone. We know having the bridge closed has been incredibly inconvenient. The hellacious traffic going down 55 and 240. They appreciated the public's patience while their teams made the repairs and performed extensive inspections to ensure it's structurally sound for many years to come. It was shut down since May 11th of 2021 when a routine inspection uncovered a large crack in the structure and the bridge was deemed unsafe to cross. Since that time, traffic has been rerouted. It was then rerouted to I-55. Yes, there was extreme crack in it. So kudos to the Department of Transportation for keeping all the bridges up all across the country. It is huge to have to especially go over a large river like the Mississippi River on these, or hanging down from the top of the bridge on these cranes, these cherry pickers and stuff, or have to rappel down there. I'm scared to death of heights, and shoot, you ain't gonna catch me down there trying to inspect the bridge for cracks. Shoot, no. Ain't no way. So kudos to them for the work that they do. I greatly appreciate you. And Utah Highway Patrol are still working to piece together events that led up to that massive pileup crash that I just talked about in the first half of the show. They're still trying to piece together the chain of events that led to that 22 vehicle pileup on Interstate 15. As of Tuesday, it'd say that July 27th, they believe the chain reaction started with one crash that blocked the roadway, leading to multiple crashes as other motorists try to slow down to avoid the wreckage. These crashes culminated in a semi-truck successfully stopping to avoid the previous wrecks, which caused an even larger pileup as vehicles smashed into the back of him. We're still looking into what people did that played a part in this crash. With low visibility like that and what people experience, they're a very, very dangerous situation. Not being able to see what's in front of you, any hazards that may be there, like a crash in front of you, and you're driving right into it, end quote. They say, Roden says that Utah Highway Patrol believes that even more vehicles were at least partially involved in those wrecks, but these motorists may have kept driving or even exited the freeway. Well, the size and scope of that scene, officers are still looking at trying to put all the pieces together as far as what actually happened. We are not even sure we have all the vehicles who were involved in the crash. Any drivers who were involved in the crash but did not stick around are encouraged to contact the Nephi Office of the Highway Patrol in Utah, just to let them know exactly what transpired. Not that you're going to get a ticket or anything. And I would like to do this in schools. Is if you're watching this on a video, the video version of the show, teens learn to share the road with semi-trucks in Indiana at a trooper event. I would like to do it in my state of Mississippi and show teens, not in high schools, not necessarily that they're this trooper group of teens got up close and personal with semi-truck professional truck drivers as part of educational program. I'm talking kind of fast, sorry. Designed to help them share the road with truckers safely. Members of the trucking industry, including the Indiana Motor Truck Association, IMTA, and of course American Trucking Association, I don't like them, came together at Anderson University in Anderson, Indiana to educate the Indiana State Police Youth Camp. So instead of just going through the youth camp and doing it, we should do it for high schools. Every year go around and go to the high schools and do something like this, sharing the road. Special focus was placed on showing teens how to safely share the road with a truck and the dangers of distracted driving. The road team captains, Herschel Evans and Steve Brand, were on hand to answer questions about trucks and the trucking industry. Indiana State Police have wheels. There's zero evidence that Biden used to drive a semi. The extent of Biden's trucking experience is that he rode in a truck once for one night back in 73. And he made sure to return home by plane, though. So there you go. That's that story. And sadly, in this next story, I hate to leave the show on this note, but a trucker is fatally pinned by a teen driver while checking equipment malfunction. A trucker lost his life on the Massachusetts Turnpike after he was struck by a teenage motorist while inspecting his vehicle. This happened August 6th on the Massachusetts Turnpike in Boston. Massachusetts State Police say that 30-year-old New Jersey-based truck driver was standing outside of his vehicle on the shoulder checking a mechanical malfunction when a 17-year-old motorist struck two other vehicles before colliding with the truck driver and the truck. The truck driver was pinned between his semi and the car. He was pronounced dead at the scene. The 17-year-old was taken to the hospital for treatment of minor injuries. No other injuries were reported, and that incident remained under investigation by multiple law enforcement agencies. I greatly appreciate each and every one of you who tune in to listen to me each week here on the cafe. If you wouldn't mind, please subscribe using the link below, or on CloudHub, please subscribe at the top of the page. I greatly appreciate each and every one of you tuning in. As I said, please, if you wouldn't mind, stop in if you're on Facebook and give us a like on Facebook. Also join our discussion group at Julia's Trucking Cafe Regulars. And if you wouldn't mind, subscribing to our newsletter at juliastruckingcafe.com/newsletter. So thank you so much for tuning in, and until next time. You have been listening to Julia's Trucking Cafe Truckin' News Hour. Check us out on Facebook and Twitter. Take care. Have a blessed day.